Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Saturday morning, so we're sticking with the Sebastian Rogers case today, and sadly the only thing that people are talking about regarding the case at the moment is Seth Rogers sending cease and desist letters to a bunch of people. Now, I talked about this yesterday because I became aware of it after watching Cluminati's live stream. And she said she'd got a cease and desist. She read it out and I played just a little fraction. I didn't play the whole thing. I did ask if any other creators had got them to try to work out whether Cluminati had been targeted in some way for some reason. Well, it appears that a bunch of creators, it's been alleged that as many as 50 have got cease and desist letters. I don't know, I can't confirm how many, but there is at least 3 that I believe have got them. 3 people, not even 3 creators, 3 people. So several people have got them. We know JLR received a cease and desist from Seth's mother a while back to stop talking about her. But this is pertaining to Sebastian. This is what is really, really concerning. Sending a cease and desist letter to tell someone to stop being mean about me online, that's one thing. The person can choose to carry on being mean online, and then it would be down to Seth to bring a case against that person, whatever that case might look like. You know, cease and desist serves as a warning. Look, a lawyer will take your money. Even if your case has got no basis in law, whether that's criminal law or civil law. They'll take your money and they'll write down what you want to say and they'll send it out and they'll charge you for that. I don't know how much lawyers charge in Tennessee for these type of things. I don't even know how much they charge in my country for these type of things because I've never needed to send one. I have received one. I received one way back in, what was it? It would have been 2005. So before the days of social media. And it was an ex. And he got a lawyer to send me a letter to stop being mean to him. Oh, bless him. Oh, he thought I was being mean to him. Well, all I'd done was tell him some home truths. He was the mean one. I was just telling him some home truths that he didn't like. I didn't say anything, not a word of a lie, and I didn't disseminate it to anyone. So the lawyer took his money and sent me a letter to say stop being mean to him. Did I acknowledge that letter, either to the lawyer or to him? No, put it straight in the bin. And nothing else was said because there was no basis in law for it, and I knew full well there wasn't. Anyhow, back to Seth. Somebody put this online, so this is the exact letter. So it's not a long letter here. Notice the cease and desist. So this is doing the rounds on YouTube and social media. All right. Please be advised that I represent Mr. Seth Rogers. Cool. Please let this letter serve as a formal notice to cease and desist any and all activity of dissemination of information, get this, pertaining to Sebastian Rogers and or Seth Rogers, specifically any and all information surrounding the disappearance and efforts to locate Sebastian Rogers. There is no basis in law for that paragraph at all. There is no law that prevents you from disseminating information about a missing person. Sebastian has an Amber Alert. There's no court in your land or my land that would say, please stop raising awareness for a missing child who has an Amber Alert. Seth can say, I don't want people to do it, but Seth doesn't have a choice. His son, Sebastian, has an Amber Alert. He is missing. He's been missing for over 3 months. The more people who share his information, who act on Sebastian's behalf by sharing that information, by going out searching, by posting flyers, by sharing his name and his face and his information on social media. If he'd said, please stop being mean to me, and there was a basis in law for that, that's very different. You know, you could potentially get done for defamation if you were spreading untruths that damaged Seth's reputation. That's a defamation suit. If it is tantamount to harassment, then there's a potential criminal case. Disseminating information about a missing child, no one can stop you doing that. Sebastian is in the public domain. Sebastian's been on the news. Sebastian has an Amber Alert. There's no basis in law that will prevent anybody from sharing his information. Paragraph 2. My client has been informed you are engaging in such behaviour without express written or oral consent. You don't need written or oral consent from a parent or anyone to share a missing child's case. The parents can dislike you. The parent can say, I don't want that person involved in search efforts. And yeah, they can stop you from being involved in a search effort that they organise. But they can't stop you being involved in other search efforts, and they certainly can't stop you talking about that person because he's in the public domain. If you have obtained any documents, recordings, or other information pertaining to the disappearance of and/or efforts to locate Sebastian Rogers, you have obtained said information without the consent of Seth Rogers. Well, that's a statement. That's not a request. It's not even a request saying, please stop. That's just a statement. And again, it doesn't matter. You don't need consent from anybody to obtain documents that are in the public domain, to make recordings or keep recordings of anything pertaining to that missing child's case. Please note that all activities regarding the dissemination of said information will be reported to the proper authorities if required by law. Well, there's no legal basis for this, so it isn't required by law. Continued activities, as previously stated, will result in Mr. Rogers exploring any and all legal remedies to which he is entitled. Well, actually, he's not entitled to any legal remedy because sharing information about a missing child's case, there's no basis in law to stop you, whether or not he likes you or not. So there's that. Now let's give some examples here of what is or isn't defamation, for example. Let's use defamation because you can get done for slander. If you talk about someone in the presence of others, that results in a loss of reputation or financials or something about the target. And if what you're saying is true, that's not slander. You see, the person who brings the suit has the burden to prove that what you're saying is a lie. Spreading things that are true, sorry, not defamation. Libel is the written form of defamation. Okay, so some examples of what are not defamation. If I shared Seth's own words, let's say, and this is Justin from TikTok, I think his channel's called. And on Justin's channel, Seth talked about Sebastian's abuse.
Before Chris and Katie came back here, there was another CPS incident in California at her house. Katie and Chris let a child into their house that was 5 years older than my son. My son was 7 or 8 at the time, and this kid was 13. And she has a habit of not checking on her kid. I would never let some kid that's 5 years older than my son play with my son anyways. It's like, why do you want to play with my son? There's a 5-year difference. That's a pretty big difference. You're 13, and my son, you're a teenager. My son is not a teenager. He's still playing with Hot Wheels and Legos, and he's building things. He's playing video games, and you're a teenager. You go out and you have your own, age appropriate group that you play with, and they were letting this kid play with my son, and they weren't checking on him. And then this kid took my son's innocence, and he molested him.
So you take your time.
And there was nothing I could do in California because the kid was 13. But they let that happen. And they didn't bother to try to even get my son help until last year. Here, my son has just turned 15 in December. That means he's been dealing with an emotional, stressful, traumatic incident for the last 7 years. And I've been trying to help him. I've been trying to get him help. Going to talk to his doctor and telling them what happened. And for the doctor to tell me, she was like, I knew none of this stuff. And I'm like, really? Because he's supposed to be seeing a therapist for this. And she's like, well, he's not seeing the right type of therapist for this type of trauma. I care about my son. And actions speak so much louder than words. And there's just no justification for the actions that I have seen from them. They're not parents. They're not parents at all.
Me sharing this recording has no basis in law to stop me. It's fair use, so I'm not going to get done for breaching copyright law. And there's certainly no basis in law that Seth could bring. I could say, I don't agree with what Seth did here. That's just my opinion. That's not defamation. However, if I went further than that and I started to spread lies, saying, as a result of this recording, I know that Seth is responsible for the disappearance of Sebastian, that's a grey area. If you're saying, I believe or I think that, or it's my opinion that this person is responsible for the disappearance of Sebastian, well, that's one thing. Not very nice, don't do it. Is it defamation though? If you were stating it as fact, and there's no basis, in the real world that this is factual, then the person has a case. Because what essentially you're doing is spreading a lie. You're stating something as fact that isn't true. And I see an awful lot of that. I see some of it from Seth. Seth told the polygrapher on the Nancy Grace show, and it was cut out of the show, Katie overdosed Sebastian.
After a polygraph was conducted, what is your theory of what happened to your son, Sebastian? What did Seth say?
He explained to me that Sebastian was routinely taking a sleep aid, and he believes that Sebastian probably wouldn't go to sleep. So his mom, Katie, overdosed him and caused his death. That's what he told me.
Is that defamation against Katie? Not if it's his opinion. But again, it's grey. So what I would say to everybody is avoid accusatory statements. I would say avoid accusing parents, not just in this case, but in all cases, of doing something to their kid, murdering their kid, when there's actually no evidence whatsoever to support it. I would say, definitely, there's a case of harassment. People who've been sending threats to Katie and Chris, death threats, maybe, case against you for harassment. But is there any case against Seth? His cease and desist letter has no basis in law. Stating what Seth has said in his own words and saying, I do not agree with Seth saying that. That's not defamation. That's not harassment. Using Seth's own words to point out discrepancies in what he's said, pointing out things that you don't agree with, that's fine. Harassing him for it, though, threatening him for it, though, or stating that you believe he murdered Sebastian or disappeared Sebastian as a fact, now that, legally, is a problem. We could even go so far as to share publicly obtained documents like divorce papers. We could share this. This is Katie's words against Seth. We could share this and say, Katie has alleged some really horrible things that Seth has done to Sebastian. You can share Katie's allegation and say, if that's true, I think Seth was horrible. No crime against that. No defamation against that. However, if you say, as a result of this, I know that Seth did something to Sebastian, that's stating something as fact. That's extrapolating this allegation into something that isn't true, because there's no evidence to suggest that Seth did anything to Sebastian. Do you see the distinction here? There's a lot of grey, but there are some cases, some situations that are problematic legally, but most aren't. So Seth can send as many cease and desist letters as he likes. A lawyer will take his money. But just to say, oh, if you don't stop, I'm going to explore legal remedies. Well, again, a lawyer will take your money to explore those legal remedies. But if there aren't any, there aren't any. And Seth has just wasted his time and his money. Probably, maybe, perhaps, money obtained through the GoFundMe or the Cash Apps or whatever he's been getting. I don't know. I don't know who Seth is funding this, but apparently, he's got 20 odd grand in a GoFundMe. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.